Good morning, everybody. This is a live emergency briefing as we do have a tornado outbreak that's playing out right now across southeastern Texas into southwestern Louisiana. And there was a destructive tornado that was approaching the Deweyville area there right along the Sabine River. And it does look like that storm has passed into Louisiana now. Here you can see the storm. It is becoming HP, and it produced that tornado, a couple of tornadoes. One was to the south of I-10. And then it crossed Interstate 10. That tornado was to the west of Bridge City. Came very close to crossing I-10, cycled, and then another tornado came down here to the north of Interstate 10 and to the southwest of Deweyville. And that tornado looks like it lifted just as it was approaching the Deweyville area, which is about the only good news so far. And now it is cycling. We have a new cycle right here to the north of Starks, Louisiana. This is along Highway 109 here. This is that new circulation. This is the old circulation that thankfully weakened just as it was approaching the Deweyville area, across the Sabine River. And now that circulation is starting to weaken with a new one developing right here, right along Highway 109. So this is the danger zone right now. This is that circulation. Big time storm relative inflow. Pop coming in here around this storm, approaching State Route 109. So if you're on State Route 109 to the north of Starks and there's a dangerous storm approaching your location, about to produce a tornado right here just to the north of Starks. Here's the Sabine River. And this storm is pretty long track. It was producing tornadoes probably over the Gulf of Mexico and then made landfall there to the southwest of Bridge City, west of Port Arthur. That's where it came into the west of Sabine Pass. This is that location. We got lit up by the worst bugs I've ever seen before down here in Sabine Pass just after Hurricane Laura. Wave after wave of caddleflies, mosquitoes, midges, round after round of those bugs down there, and that's where this storm made landfall. Now you can see the severe thunderstorm warnings off to the west, back toward the Winnie area. You're about to get a line with some damaging straight line winds approaching. And there is a tornado warning way off to the north near the Shreveport area that we're about to look at, but this is the most dangerous storm right now to the west of DeQuincy. Could be heading in the direction of DeQuincy, but I think it's going to be heading to the north of there, up towards Seal, up toward Juanita area along Highway 27. But that new circulation just now starting to form near Highway 109. There you can see it to the west of Highway 109. That's that big storm relative inflow area there. Let's take a look at the correlation coefficient. And right now that tornado is not on the ground, but I'm waiting for that to happen. And we can loop this over long term, and I can show you that debris ball of that dangerous tornado as it was approaching the Deweyville area. There it is right there, and that is a textbook debris ball. Looks like the Forest Heights area up toward Hartburg. Sustained a direct hit. Hartburg, Texas was hit here just off of Highway 87. Probably search and rescue ongoing in the Hartburg area. Hopefully those were just leaves getting lofted and not too much in the way of destruction, but very likely that was a damaging tornado that went through Hartburg. Looks like it weakened just on approach to Deweyville, so very close to Deweyville, came very close to sustaining a direct hit. It still may have as it was roping out there near the Deweyville area, but it's also possible that it just roped out on the southwest side of town. But it looks like Hartburg was not as lucky there, right on the Highway 87 corridor. Looking back to the southwest, it looks like a relatively populated area, past just to the north of Kennard Estates out here as well. Might have crossed Highway, and there's where it touched down, right near the Gratis area, right on Highway 62. That's where the new cycle touched down, right along Highway 62 to the north of Stark, north of Interstate 10. That's where that tornado touchdown. It looks like it hit that area to the north of Kennard Estates, near the Hartburg area as well, and now it continues to lift off to the northeast. I do think it is going to pass to the north of DeQuincy, but there it is. Look at that thing wrap up. Just a textbook supercell that became more HP, but early on to the south of Interstate 10 as it was producing that tornado to the west of Bridge City right there. It was a lot more classic. You can see that skinny hook-like appendage coming around, cyclonically curved at the end. You can even see a debris ball as it was tearing through the marsh down there to the south of I-10, crossed Interstate 10 just to the east of Stark, and now it continues to lift off to the northeast. It is to the north of Highway 12. that new circulation now as this storm is starting to reorganize, crossing Highway 109 right now, State Route 109, that new circulation. So this is the new circulation right here. The inflow appears to be ramping up as this circulation is approaching Highway 109. This is the old circulation that just went through those communities that I just broke down for you there, starting to spin down a little bit. There's that new circulation here beginning to ramp up near State Highway 109. And let's break down some of the environment that these storms are located in. Quite favorable down here. Storm Prediction Center does have an enhanced risk down across this area. And nice instability nose building up, a bit of a warm frontal zone, kind of a wedge-shaped instability axis down here. And here you can see the environment that is causing these tornadoes. You can see this instability building up. Surface-based instability all the way up to the Shreveport area, believe it or not. And that's more of a quasi-linear convective system up there. But it is causing strong enough mesocyclones that are able to drill through that shallow, stable layer. But you can definitely see that instability hugging the coast down there, southeastern Texas and into Louisiana. You do have this warm frontal zone. Well, kind of this whole area is a warm frontal zone with these east-southeasterly winds. Basically a coastal front located right along the Gulf of Mexico coastline. Here's your tornado producer that continues to lift off to the northeast after crossing Interstate 10 there, approaching the Deweyville area, weakening a little bit, and then now ramping up once again as it's crossing Highway 109. But you can definitely see those easterly surface winds. Those are responsible for creating a lot of strong low-level wind shear for this setup. And we can look at that wind shear right now. Storm relative effective helicities there, pushing 300 in this area. So right around 300 in that zone here, right where that renegade supercell is embedded. And this is going to continue to evolve. This squall line is going to continue to push east. This renegade will just continue lifting off to the northeast with this effective warm frontal zone, an abundance of low-level instability as well, and eventually could even start approaching the Alexandria area up here in central Louisiana, and it'll have a continued tornado threat with it as well. But you can see a lot of this wind shear, big low-level jet out ahead of this squall line. My plan was to chase yesterday and then drive all night to get down here across this area, but just ran out of gas. Down into Oklahoma, so I'm going to be doing these live briefings with this setup here out of Norman, Oklahoma. But there you can see that basically wedge-shaped instability axis there, nosing into central Louisiana, southwestern Louisiana as well. That's why you have this tornado potential happening here. And we could step this out with time to see where that zone of most favorable wind shear is located. And that's in 2 hours, and the RAP is capable of resolving that individual supercell storm out ahead of that squall line. Still ahead of the squall line, likely producing tornadoes right there, obviously here in a few hours. Still, that's not old data, website bug. So we can step forward another 2 hours as well and see if it still can resolve that supercell as it lifts up through central Louisiana. And then it looks like that squall line by 4 hours. So that is going to be here early to middle afternoon, 4 hours, 18Z. So that'll be about 1 p.m. It looks like that line finally catches that supercell storm. And there's going to be embedded tornado circulations possible within this line. But notice how that wind shear lifts north with that effective warm frontal zone moving through northern Louisiana into eastern Louisiana there, bringing with it that stronger wind shear. So I think that the next 2 hours looks like it's going to be the prime time for this line. Use extreme caution. So let's go back to radar really quick and take a look at these storms that are happening right now. The environment definitely lifts off to the northeast with that effective warm frontal zone. So I do think that this main event happening right now with this storm, looks like this storm is going to evolve for another couple of hours ahead of this convective line. The convective line is still severe as well. So here you can see these renegades, this mode of renegade cells. And then here is the convective line off to the west, approaching the Lumberton area. There is a flash flood warning now in the Beaumont zone. And watch this little appendage poking out near China, down near Highway 90 to the west of Beaumont. This has a potential to develop a tornadic circulation too. There is some cyclonic curvature to the inflow here, a bit of an RFD bulge here as well to the south of China, south of Highway 90. But Beaumont definitely has that flash flood warning there. And here is the most dangerous storm that we are watching. It is going to move well to the north of DeQuincy, near the Highway 109 corridor, up toward Juanita, Seal as well. That zone definitely could be impacted by this storm. And it is forming a new circulation right here to the south of Highway 109. This is where that circulation is located. This is now to the east of Highway 109. A little bit diffuse right now, so this could tighten up with any radar scan. So that's what I'm watching for right now, is for this circulation to tighten up here. This is between Highway 109 and also Highway 90 as well, off to the south. So here is that dangerous supercell storm. I do think it'll probably cycle up again. And this tornado producer is definitely not done. You can see this classic cyclonically curved reflectivity pattern here. Big inflow zone, pulling in all that inflow here between Highway 12 and Highway 109. So a very dangerous storm here. Hook-like appendage, cyclonically curved reflectivity pattern here. Big inflow zone as well happening with this dangerous HP storm that's lifting off to the northeast along Highway 109. Heading toward the Seal area eventually. So if you're in this Highway 27 corridor to the north of DeQuincy, you want to keep a close eye on the severe weather watches and warnings. Get ready to have your safety plan in place. Looking at the echotops, how high this storm is poking up into the troposphere. You can also see the storm behind it that's starting to become dominant here along Highway 87 based on the echotops. It looks like that one is starting to take over a little bit, but definitely some tops up above 40,000 feet there. Definitely still going strong. This one's starting to get a little bit of inflow back behind it, so I'll have to keep an eye on this storm. Usually these lead dominant storms like this will kick out a rear flank downdraft on its rear flank down here, and that'll choke off any of these storms that try to get going back behind it. But this one has some decent echo tops, and with such a strong low-level jet, you're down here in the southern U.S., down near the Gulf of Mexico. Probably more warm rain processes, not as much evaporation or cooling behind these storms. So there is a chance that the atmosphere can recover quick enough to even have this thing produce a tornado on approach to Highway 87 here to the north of Little Cypress. Well north of Orange, Texas here, but you kind of have this elongated convergent zone as this is approaching Highway 187. And then off to the northeast, you've got this large area of storm relative inflow here, trying to develop a tornadic circulation to the south of Highway 109. Pulling up the correlation coefficient here, not seeing anything on the ground right now. So that's good news that it has cycled upon crossing the Sabine River near the Deweyville area. And now I'm not seeing anything in the way of debris with this storm, but still this very massive cyclonically curved gradient here of reflectivity along that forward flank gradient, forward flank gust front. So it is trying to pull in a lot of inflow here. Somewhere in this location to the east of Highway 109 is where that circulation could tighten up into a tornado. And we've been tracking this storm since it was south of Interstate 10. Storm chaser friend of mine got on it when it was a wedge down here to the west of Bridge City. So it was a pretty big cone wedge tornado out here in the marshlands west of Bridge City. And then cycled on approach to Interstate 10. Then dropped another tornado to the north of Interstate 10 to the north of Stark. And caused some intermittent damage to those communities up through Deweyville. And then it does look like that tornado lifted as it was approaching the Deweyville area. So here is that hook-like appendage on the base of this storm right here. That's where the tornadic portion of the storm would be. You can definitely see that hook wrapping all the way around that circulation. A little bit of a weak echo region here, also to the east of Highway 109, State Route 109 there. So that's where that tornadic circulation would be located. Looping it. It is drifting off to the north and didn't tighten up as much in that last frame as we were watching it here. Definitely did cycle. Still has that area of expanding storm relative inflow there in yellow. That's the inflow into the storm. Usually that ramps up and expands when these storms are starting to go tornadic. And then you want to watch for the couplet just to the west of it to tighten up. You want those pixels to be right next to each other to confirm that tornado when they're right next to each other. And then you can look at the dual pole radar products and start to try to resolve some damage. And it does look like there is a little bit of a correlation drop here to the east of Highway 109. Then we got to keep a close eye on. Possible developing tornado there. Could be lofting some of those fall colors into the air. They're near the Highway 109 corridor. But there is that tornado warning. Radar indicated right now. It is going to pass to the north of DeQuincy eventually. Quite meridional storm motion on this, as you can extrapolate that thing upstream to the west of the Bridge City area. And a couple of these storms still trying to mature further northeast along that warm frontal zone, but those are a bit elevated. Looks like this warm frontal zone is really like this. But there was a tornado embedded within this line earlier, northwest side of Houston. As this line came through, it was able to spin up a QLCS tornado. This squall line also produced a couple of tornadoes in the Oklahoma City area here last night, just east of Norman near Franklin Street to the east of I-35. There was some debris indicated by that radar. Damaged hawks are out there going after it already. And there was also a tornado down near out near Yukon. So when we were streaming live last night and we saw that wall cloud funnel shape to the west of Yukon there, that was actually a tornado that was confirmed on radar just to the south of I-10 near the Union City area. So now we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Beaumont for that appendage that we were talking about. A little bit of an RFD bulge here. Could get some damaging straight line winds with this. Also flooding potential with these renegades moving through, dropping quite a bit of rain. And then this squall line coming in here. Definitely could be some flood potential there. But these are the renegades. So you can still see this one back behind the tornado producer that's starting to organize to the west of Highway 87. When you look on echo tops, you can definitely see that that rear storm is trying to dominate. It's got the taller tops, it's got the stronger updraft, it's penetrating further up into the troposphere. And so that's why this one out near Highway 87 appears to be dominating, but you still have those robust echo tops with the leading storm. And it's strongly tilted as well. So the low-level mesocyclone is back here, and then this mesocyclone tilts from southwest to northeast quite dramatically here. A beautiful renegade storm here, hopefully not causing too much damage. And then we've got this renegade back behind it starting to intensify too with that appendage. So this is to the west of DeQuincy. There's the DeQuincy area, and it is moving off to the northeast. I do think it's going to pass to the north of DeQuincy. Seal, Juanita areas could definitely be impacted by this storm. And I'm going to keep breaking this down throughout the day today. I'm going to be breaking down this on radar. I do wish, of course, I could be out here in the field. You can see this circulation starting to ramp up a bit, approaching Highway 87. So this is the Sabine River. This is the circulation back behind it. This is the lead circulation up here that we're watching that's starting to tighten up. So I do think that it's starting to produce a tornado here near Highway 109. So this thing is basically paralleling 109. It's about to cross State Route 109 again up here. So let's take a look at the correlation coefficient, and there it is, tornado on the ground. Right near Ernest Clark Road and Highway 109, we have a new tornado in progress. This is the third cycle, at least, with this supercell. It's possible that it cycled even more, but there you can see that tornado happening right now near the Ernest Clark area. Take shelter now with this storm. Highway 109, well to the west of DeQueen. Make sure I'm still live on here too, breaking this down. Dangerous situation developing, southern Louisiana. We do have this tornado. This is west of DeQuincy. Here it is, Highway 109 here, Ernest Clark Road, and that's where that tornado has touched down. And I'm concerned that this next radar scan is going to have a much bigger debris signature too, because that is a very favorable radar pattern here for that tornado. There you can see it, totally occluded. And in fact, there is a new storm relative inflow zone here developing downstream, probably setting up for that next cycle, that next tornado to happen further off to the northeast. But here you can see that tornado, Ernest Clark Road, Highway 109 here, new tornado that has touched down. And this is right well to the west of DeQuincy. There's the DeQuincy area. Seal. Here is State Route 109. And there is that tornado. Just an absolutely textbook occlusion. We knew that this thing was not done yet. And there it is. Definitely a little inflow notch into that tornado. It looks like this one's wrapped in rain out here too. So definitely a dangerous circulation. A little bit of an RFD bulge, trying to bulge out there as well. Starting, hopefully this storm off to its southwest will rain into this thing and somehow cause it to weaken as it lifts off to the northeast, because this thing is pulling in a lot of inflow. It's all by itself out here. Renegade storm lifting off to the northeast, right along this warm frontal zone, a little bit of a wedge shape of an instability axis lifting up into it to the west of DeQuincy. So a dangerous situation playing out here. Highway 109, DeQuincy. We have a tornado in progress. Radar confirmed out here in this forest land. It looks like, at least the good news is that the debris signature isn't too substantial out here, but you don't want to put any weight in that really. But there is that tornado. Ernest Clark Road, Shoals Creek Road here, Highway 109. Big time debris fall happening there with this storm. Definitely radar confirmed tornado. There it is. The National Weather Service out of Lake Charles recognizes the same thing that we do here. Radar confirmed tornado, tornado producing storm, radar confirmed debris. So definitely this tornado is in progress happening here. Pretty awesome, incredible technology with this dual pole radar to be able to observe these debris signatures, debris getting lofted by these storms. And there it is lifting off to the north, probably occluding. It's a little bit decoupled from this area of enhanced storm relative inflow out here in yellow. So it might be occluded. It's a more compact tornado than the one that was approaching Deweyville. Tornadoes, though, no matter what size, can be dangerous and even deadly out here. This one is churning. Here's Shoals Creek Road and Ernest Clark Road right now, closing in on Jack Bennett Road, State Route 109, just to the north of State Route 109. So this tornado has crossed 109 once again. Likely some tree damage there along 109. Maybe some structures damaged as well down here. But there you can see that debris ball, that debris signature here with this lead renegade storm, lofting debris up, Highway 109. No, it's not anticyclonic. I just got a question here through the chat. It is definitely a cyclonic tornado, but often as they mature like this, they will do a left-hand turn. This one's doing a left-hand turn, roping out near Shoals Creek Road out here, just off to the north of it. There's that circulation. Definitely a much smaller tornado, probably wrapped in the rain there as well. With this renegade that's lifting off to the north, and there's that new tornado warning, accounting for that more meridional storm motion. So up near Bivens, Mystic, Fields, Louisiana, up there to the east of the Sabine River. Those are all locations to watch out. It does include Juanita there on Highway 27. So those are all locations that need to take shelter. Southwest of Field, that's where that tornado is happening, near Highway 109, south of Highway 389 as well right there. And this is the beginning of probably an outbreak of tornadoes, but I think that this one storm here is going to be the main tornado producer over the next 2 hours. And then that squall line catches it from behind, merges with the squall line, and then the whole thing pushes off to the east with embedded tornado circulations. The 3-kilometer NAM showed a much more pinched off warm sector, really hugging I-10 and then getting pinched off into the southeastern part of the state. But it looks like the new models this morning are kind of showing this large area of surface-based instability around this warm frontal zone across southwestern Louisiana. And it looks like after that brief cycle, that tornado has now dissipated. And now we have another very large area of storm relative inflow here, probably getting ready for the next cycle with this storm. Oops, looks like I just deleted my radar by accident, but it looks like we're getting ready for the next cycle. You can see this large area of storm relative inflow getting going out ahead of this circulation. Circulation is back in this area, but has weakened. So this produced another tornado, the third cycle with this tornado. So with this tornadic supercell, and still likely has some debris falling out of this. The signature, rotational signature, has weakened a little bit, but you can still see this little correlation drop happening here. Shoals Creek Road, Jack Bennett Road here, State Route 109, just to the north. That's where a very dangerous, smaller tornado than we had earlier. The one to the south of I-10 was a big multi-vortex wedge cone. The circulation crossed Interstate 10, but it was cycling as it crossed Interstate 10 and then put down another big tornado to the north of Interstate 10 on approach to the Deweyville area. And now you got severe thunderstorms moving into Beaumont with this little bow down here and a flash flood warning down in Beaumont as well. So you can see all these bright greens happening. There you can see that circulation to the west of DeQuincy, southwest of Fields. There's that very large storm relative inflow zone there. Moving to the northeast, Highway 109, southwest of Fields. That's the area, most dangerous portion of this storm. Large storm relative inflow zone there to the southwest of Fields as well. The circulation that produced that next tornado has weakened, so I'm now watching this area. Large area in yellow, big storm relative inflow zone. That's the area that I'm watching now for the new circulation to develop. So once this RFD punches off to the east, catches up with this large storm relative inflow zone, then it'll possibly be producing another tornado right there. So I'll have to keep a close eye on that. So we're watching this setup here evolve across southwestern Louisiana. Some large tornadoes have already happened. We're watching this renegade storm here to the west of DeQuincy lift off to the northeast. Looks like some stable air and kind of a warm frontal zone off to its northeast, but it's lifting northeast along with that warm frontal zone here. And so it could even be some more renegades, but I think what will happen is this squall line will just surge off to the east, to the south of Interstate 10, to the south of these tornado producers to the north. So we'll keep going live here as we break down this outbreak, severe weather outbreak happening today. Big mega squall line approaching the Sabine River. And the models are hinting at the formation of additional renegades as this system continues to evolve. But it does look like that warm frontal zone is going to focus up here from Natchitoches, down toward Alexandria, and down toward Baton Rouge areas, eventually maybe even up into southwestern Mississippi. But as that warm frontal zone lifts off to the northeast, eventually that elevated mix layer is going to catch up with that zone off to the northeast. And I do think that that tornado threat is going to shift to the northeast instead of just hugging Interstate 10 down near the Gulf Coast region and then getting pushed down into southeastern Louisiana. So I'm going to keep monitoring this, and I'll go live as this tornado outbreak continues to evolve down here in the central Gulf Coast region, but mainly central and southern Louisiana.